Are you guys seeing cheekbone? I'm seeing cheekbone. I got chubby cheeks in real life. I've just got a lot of like hearts. Hearts. What are we gonna talk about today? Let me just open up my little book or whatever. What are we gonna also notice how my book kind of match? Like I'm going for, I don't know what color scheme yet. Y'all can see like the pink jacket in the back, the pink lipstick, the pink book. Like this wasn't plans. This wasn't plans. Also, I'm actually roasting in here. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's so good to finally be back to be filming again. I hope all of you guys have been keeping yourselves well. Thanks for tuning in yet again. And let's get right into it. So today's video is going to be all about academic excellence. How do we get excellent? How do we excel? How do we be amazing? How do we be great? This is just a general video on academic excellence and how to be academically excellent. What I would definitely recommend first of all is, you guys have heard it before, it's super cliche but super important. Work hard. Work hard. The things that you want in life are not easily like they don't come easy. If they were, then people would just be getting A's and A stars and 9s, and they'd be getting their first just straight off the bat. But you've got to work for it. Talent will only get you so far. And that's something I found throughout my academic career, from GCSEs to sixth form to my university degree. You need to work hard. No matter how talented you are, no matter where you're at on the academic spectrum, you will need to put in work. Now that doesn't actually translate into, oh, I've got to put X amount of hours into this or Y amount of hours into that. In fact, it's even linked to my next tip, which is work smart. Oh my goodness, listen. The one thing that has been a consistent theme throughout my academic career is you'll always have people who kind of labor, or like you'll see the ones that live in the library. They've moved in, they've moved their bed, they bring their breakfast, lunch and dinner into the library. The ones that you'll even just call them like, hey, how you doing? And they say, I feel like trash, but I'm surviving. The people that really enjoy suffering in the work process, like, oh, I'm suffering. Yeah, that was never me. I hated like being like a toiler, like I'm really giving my entire everything about my life into this assignment or this grade. Work smart. Find more efficient ways of learning. Like for me, I'm a very holistic learner. I like to do things like taking notes, but I also like listening to podcasts. I like, watching things on television. I like making presentations. I like doing summaries. When it comes to essay-based subjects, I would definitely, if you're going to revise stuff or revise for essays, I would recommend writing out plans instead of the full essay if you're like crammed for time. I don't like writing out full essays every time I'm revising essay-based subjects because we ain't got time out here, sis. We gotta wrap it up. So work smart. Don't think that you have to be dying over a book in the library or wherever, or locking yourself up, like spending ages on something and thinking that it's going to progress you. In fact, it's funny, I was at a class earlier this week that said the longer you labor over something, like there's a trade-off basically. So it gets to a point where you're not actually learning anything new, but you're just there dying over this small textbook. Try and mix up your learning. Try recording your voice, for example. I did that from GCSEs to A level to my university degree. Related to that tip, just in the pursuit of academic excellence, find ways to adjust your learning to your level. The way that you revise for GCSE will not be the same as the way you revise for A level. The way that you revise for A level is not going to be the same for the way that you revise at university. And the way that you revise certain topics within a specific academic level, it's not going to be the same. The way that you revise for history is different to English. The way that you revise for chemistry may be different to French. So take that into account when you are working smart, when you're trying to find an efficient way to plan your revision or plan to do well academically. Chemistry is still a touchy subject for me because I did that at AS and lots. Damn, that was hard. That was hard. But it provides a lovely segue into my next tip. Gosh, we've got a lot of segues today. Yeah, I'm liking it. But one thing that I would say is try to turn your weaknesses into your strengths. So identify either the subjects or identify the areas that you think you're lacking in. Identify what the problems are and address it. Don't just be leaning on your strengths like, yeah, I can write a banging introduction or a conclusion, but my main paragraphs, they're a bit trash, but it's all good in the hood. It's not good. Nothing is good in the hood, my dear. Nothing is good in the forest. The forest is on fire. The house is burning. Yeah. So try to address your weaknesses. I'll try and give you an example for each level so that it's relevant for you guys. GCSE, the things that I found very difficult was switching from science-based subjects to humanities-based subjects. I was relatively good across the spectrum of subjects, but for me, I always found it difficult to go from like chemistry to like English, do you know what I mean? And if it's a case where you actually have back-to-back exams, finding a way of switching from one to the other, one kind of skill set to the other, is actually super helpful. So in my revision timetable, which I crafted for myself at GCSE, I would revise French and then do biology, or I would revise physics and maths and then do English and history in my next session. So I got used to the transition and it wasn't such a shock when I received my timetable and I was doing something like physics and then English. So I would definitely recommend implementing that into your GCSE revision structure. In A levels, I found a similar thing, but one thing that I found particularly tricky was the transition between GCSE to A level. Ooh, that got me like, I was tripping. I was tripping. And I found that the subjects I thought I was good at, I needed to work a little bit more to get to that level. So things that I really enjoyed, like English, literature, history, I really enjoyed drama, chemistry. Things I really enjoyed, I found that I didn't easily get the grades with the techniques that I had used or the revision that I had implemented for myself. So that I started testing out new techniques. I started doing things like essay plans. I started really getting to grips with the question, what the question is asking. And one thing I really picked up, I did it a little at GCSE, but I did it mostly in A level, is understanding the mark scheme, reading the examiner's report and understanding what they're looking for so that you know what to give them when you approach a question. One of the biggest things year after year that I hear from teachers, examiners, tutors is that the student just hasn't answered the question. They have all the content, but they haven't answered the question. And at A level, it is imperative that you answer the question and you answer it in an analytical way that shows that you have knowledge but has answered what they've asked you. That's it. They just want you to answer the question. In university, an example I would use is probably, what did I find tricky? You know, when the spirit of remembrance comes upon you. In university, what I found tricky was getting to grips with material within my subject I was not used to, just not used to writing about. So for me, in my first year, I had a compulsory unit on medieval history. The Norman conquest, and that I remember the first lecture that I actually walked into was about the Norman conquest and the Doomsday Book. I said, what? On Doomsday Book? As in the lecture title was Doomsday Book. I was thinking, is this hailing my trajectory on this course? Doomsday, is that what you're trying to say? That I'm doomed? Heaven forbid. But yeah, no, I found it very tricky to talk about medieval history because it wasn't something I had previously studied. So for that, I used the immersion technique. I would be reading medieval sources. I would be immersing myself in the literature that wasn't necessarily always directly related to my course, but knowing what happens before and after is super helpful. So yeah, those are the examples that I've given you across the spectrum. and hopefully it will be helpful. Another major key to academic excellence, people don't talk about this key enough, but it's having a relationship with your teacher or your tutor. It is, guys, it makes your life so much easier when it comes to exams and you've got a solid relationship with either your teacher or your tutor, so you can go to them for help to mark like your practice stuff. I had a particular history teacher in my secondary school, absolute darling. I would literally write exam papers every week, like once a week, and give it to her, particularly because I was applying for history and I really wanted a good mark on my history modules. I would write a paper a week. So like the way I structured my revision was that I would revise, do essay plans and stuff, and then at the end of the week I would do like exam prep or practice. So on the weekends I would write out full papers or full questions and then bring it in the next day for my teacher to mark. That is so helpful, so key, because they're able to really give you feedback and advice, and it's just nice to have someone look over, like having someone else's eyes looking over your work, because it's so easy for us to not be critical of our own work because we're just so used to seeing it. So I would definitely recommend hit up your Mrs. Thompson, sis, sit down, we gotta talk. Like, be persistent. They're there to help you, honestly and truly. Like, just sit down, be honest about your goals. I'm aiming for this grade. Can you help me out? Can you read my papers? Can you give me some advice? Like, can we speak on certain things? And do that. Like, I did that for GCSE. I did it for A levels. I did it for university too. What do you mean? I was knocking on tutors' doors. I would be emailing like, oh, hello, hey. And the thing is, at first in university, it was difficult for me to admit that I needed help, because I felt like I was so overly competitive that it's like, oh, if you need help, then you're just, what are you even doing here? But the moment that you admit that you need help, the moment that you like, hey, can you look over this? Can you even explain why you've given me this mark that I'm not happy with? It makes it easier for you to improve. So like, build that relationship, guys. Please, 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 please. I'm begging you, please. Go the extra mile. Like, if you want to get the top marks, if you want to get the A stars, if you want to get the 9s and 8s and 7s, whatever number system y'all be using, if you want to get the upper 2 ones and the firsts, you need to get out of your comfort zone. It may mean asking for a little bit more help. It may mean reading a little bit more text for context. Whatever you need to do, go the extra mile. It doesn't have to be all the time that you have to go the extra mile, but go the extra mile when it matters. Like, the last few weeks for me are always crucial in cementing the knowledge that I need, but it's also crucial in cementing the style that I write in. So for you guys taking humanities subjects in particular, across GCSE, across university, across A levels, really have a writing style that makes you unique. That's something that takes time to develop, having a particular voice when you're writing, but really take time to develop your arguments, really set the scene with the introductions, you know, really weave in an analytical fashion the way that, you know, X equals Y, or like this highlights this, you know, really go the extra mile in your writing. Be sophisticated about it. You know, doesn't mean that you have to go and buy 10 million books. Google previews will do you just fine. Don't tell nobody that I said that though. Google previews will take you all. Listen, but be willing to go the extra mile when it matters, and you will be surprised at how much that will propel you forward to meeting the academic goal that you want to get to. So the last tip I would give pertaining to academic excellence is really find the sweet spot between working with others and working alone, and where it's appropriate. Working with others has its benefits, as does working alone. I find that working in a group gives you perspectives that you may not have had. It allows other eyes to look over your work, other voices to chime in, and it's super, super helpful. But then if you don't have the balance with being able to work alone, especially in very tense times like finals and stuff, or like in your final examinations, where you may need to develop the habit of being comfortable with your own presence, try it out. You know, go to the library, Go to a quiet space in your house, go to a place outside even, and just really focus on your work. Try and find a nice sweet spot that balances the two. Find a like study partner. When you've got like coursework and stuff, get people that you know to read over it. Not too many, but get people that you know to read over it, and you should be good. That's it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I hope it was helpful. And I wish you all the best in your academic pursuits. Keep on pushing. It's the beginning of the year. You guys are returning. I want to see you all thriving. So best of luck. I'm looking forward to seeing you guys' journeys. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing that academic excellence. So come on, let's go get it. Like, share, comment, subscribe for more videos. Yeah, until next time, guys. Guys, I literally, this song, yeah, give me a sec. If you British, you don't know who busted off, hold up. Wait for the drop. That's what I go to school. You can't call me crazy. I know that she craves me. That's what I go to school for. You know them songs are pop like.